Every photographer, whether amateur or professional, will have faced this issue at some point, and that is the overwhelming dilemma of having too many choices to make. You know that feeling when you're stood in front of all of your camera gear and you're packing it up into your bag to take away on a nice photography trip that you've been planning for a while, and you're thinking, what cameras should I take with me? What lenses should I take? What focal length am I going to likely be shooting at? What aperture am I going to need? Am I going to need any filters? How many megapixels are going to be enough? There are so many choices to make as a photographer, and all of that can be great because it can lead to endless opportunities to keep getting better and always have something new to make. However, on the other hand, it can equally be very distracting and take away from your creativity, your photography, and your enjoyment of it all. But it doesn't have to be as distracting as this, and there is a very simple solution. It's all about going back to basics and remembering why photography is so special to you. We're in a world now where there's new cameras and new pieces of gear released almost what seems like every single day, and it can become incredibly tiring, and you can't get away from it because whenever you're scrolling through social media or looking on the internet, there are new adverts and new videos forcing things upon us, trying to attract us into buying a new piece of gear that we might not necessarily need, and probably most of the time don't actually need. It's really easy as well to fall into that trap of thinking that you do actually need to go and upgrade your camera because it maybe has got a new crazy high burst mode, new AI features never before seen in a camera, or the fastest ever autofocus system put into a camera that will never lose focus on anything, when chances are you really don't need to upgrade just yet. Going back to what I mentioned before about when you're packing your camera bag and sifting through all of your gear, deciding what to take with you, is exactly the same when you see all of these new adverts and videos about a new piece of gear that has been released, because you're sifting through all of these technical specifications, making new decisions on if you do actually need it, what will you use it for, and all of a sudden photography becomes this stressful decision-making process. But the truth is, we often forget that the best camera available to us is the one that we have available to us at that time. Whether that is a high-end cinema camera, a high 80 megapixel photography camera, or even just your iPhone, it really doesn't matter, because the key to photography is embracing what you have and making the most of it. So the camera you have 99% of the time is going to be perfect, even if that is just your phone. It sounds like an old cliche to say that the best camera is the one available to you, but it is honestly so true. If you don't have your main camera with you, for example, use your iPhone. At the end of the day, the gear you use to create something does not matter in the slightest, as long as it looks good. And as well, no one is going to care what gear you use to take your photos. They're just going to see the end product. It's not always about having a photo that is perfectly in focus and perfectly sharp. If a photo is slightly soft and out of focus, as long as it tells a story and it means something, who cares? I think the idea of having perfect photos every time has come around through the likes of Instagram and different social medias, as well as camera companies finding new and different ways to market gear. And it is incredible that we can do all of that and have gear that is capable of taking picture perfect photos every single time. However, that to me isn't what photography is about. It should be simple and enjoyable, and it doesn't matter what camera you go to use now. If you know what you are doing and you are improving your skills and learning new things every single time, you can get incredible photos with any camera, even if it is your mobile phone. The reason for that is that great photos don't come from expensive gear. They come from you and your creativity and your passion to keep learning and to find out what it is that you enjoy photographing and finding out new ways to make that thing stand out in photograph form. It's all about your vision and your ability to capture that moment. So instead of getting caught up in all of the different gear reviews and the technicalities on what cameras you should and shouldn't be using, actually spend time getting to know the gear you have. Spend time developing your photography skills, your composition skills, your storytelling through photography. And those are the things that will actually make you a better photographer, not the gear you use. And if you limit that as well to maybe going out to take photos with just one camera and one prime lens, that again helps to develop you as a photographer, because you're learning your limitations, and actually giving yourself a limitation to take photographs will help you improve more than if you have just everything available to you and having to make too many choices to end up not actually learning anything because you've just got too much going on. So don't let the burden of having too many choices rob you of the enjoyment of photography, because I know it has me in the past. So instead, take the gear you have and go out and take some photographs and learn its limitations and embrace its imperfections, and actually learn from your mistakes as well, because they are the things that are going to develop you as a photographer quicker than spending time deliberating over the gear you use and what things you need to be choosing to do. If you simplify it and make things easier for you, that's when you will improve the most as a photographer. And you can do all of that as well with just going out with one camera and one lens. Give yourself those limitations. Maybe even just go out and take photos with your iPhone, because these cameras are so capable now. It is crazy. At the end of the day, it's all about just enjoying the process of photography and growing your passion for it. And if you have too many decisions to make, chances are you might not enjoy it as much as you should be doing. Whereas if you simplify it and give yourself those limitations to work around and have a box of those limitations, and you're thinking outside of the box, that is how you improve. So yeah, let me know your thoughts, give it a go, and I'll see you in the next video.